Think about this for a moment. What if the life you believe is yours was quietly shaped by forces you never even thought to question? Your choices, your desires, and even your dreams might be the result of an invisible script you've been following since childhood. From the time you were born, this path was laid out through repetition and subtle reinforcement. Your family outlined what success looks like. School trained you to follow rules and fear failure. Over time, society reliably rewarded your conformity and quietly discouraged anything that stepped too far outside the norm. The psychologist Carl Jung noted that the greatest tragedy is not death, but a life lived without awareness. Existing as an unexamined, conditioned response means you wake up at the same time, think the same thoughts, and chase goals you never deeply examined. Most people call this life. But following an unquestioned routine is merely a well-constructed performance, one that grants a very convincing yet false sense of control. There is a biological reason we fall into this pattern. Operating on autopilot is a system deeply ingrained beneath your awareness. As psychologist Daniel Kahneman explained, your brain is designed for efficiency. It takes repeated actions and turns them into predictable habits to save energy. This animated diagram illustrates Kahneman's two modes of thinking. The wide, frictionless path represents the first mode, fast, automatic, and effortless. The narrow, high-friction path is the second mode, slow, deliberate, and highly conscious. Most of your life is lived on that first automatic path. The danger of operating there constantly is that unconscious living compresses your experience. Time speeds up and you drift into an emotional gray zone, not suffering enough to change, but not fulfilled enough to feel whole. The philosopher Søren Kierkegaard warned about this exact condition. He observed people becoming so immersed in the external world, routines, image, and social roles, that they never stop to turn inward. They never ask who they actually are when they are not performing for others. Society rewards this busyness as discipline, but busyness creates a false sense of purpose. You can move quickly for years without ever checking your direction, using a packed schedule to ignore the recurring sense of being out of place. Then comes a quiet, unexpected moment. You step back. You notice the repetition, the automatic responses, and the roles you have been playing. For the first time, you are no longer the actor. You are the one watching the play. Eckhart Tolle describes this as realizing you are not your thoughts, but the one observing them. By identifying as the observer, you create a slight pause between a feeling and your reaction to it. That pause breaks the automatic loop, making it possible to act with intention rather than habit. This brings us to psychologist Carl Rogers, who identified a gap between the real, authentic self and the ideal self shaped by social conditioning. Recognizing this divide creates profound internal tension. Confronting that gap is terrifying. Abraham Maslow explained that reaching your potential requires letting go of the identity you spent years building. People often avoid their own growth because it demands sacrificing the safety of being who they were expected to be. Awareness is not comfortable. Seeing the divide between your authentic self and the performance you put on shatters your illusion of safety. Once you notice where you are acting out of fear, you cannot unsee it. Because that realization is so heavy, most people spend their entire lives running from it. They stay busy. They fill the silence with noise, entertainment, and endless obligations to avoid the space where truth begins to emerge. Taking ownership of your life comes with a steep price. Philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche argued that claiming yourself requires radical honesty. You have to admit the truth about your motivations, your fears, and the hidden reasons behind your decisions. How many of your choices belong to you? Did you choose your career, or did you choose security? Did you choose your lifestyle, or did you choose approval? Did you choose your beliefs, or did you simply inherit them? Following the expected path provides stability in the short term, but ignoring the truth about your motivations leads to a total, long-term disconnection from the person you were meant to become. Understanding this mechanism is useless without action. You can see everything clearly and still remain exactly where you are. Shedding these expectations causes friction with others and resistance within yourself. Psychologist Jordan Peterson frames this as the necessity of confronting chaos voluntarily. You step out of the familiar, expected roles and into the unknown to build a reality based on truth rather than conformity. When you choose authenticity, you will lose something. You lose the external validation you once relied on. But what you are really shedding are the illusions that kept you comfortable, replacing them with genuine internal alignment. Viktor Frankl, who survived the darkest periods of the 20th century, discovered that deep meaning allows people to endure and grow through the most crushing circumstances. This sense of purpose makes the struggle of change worth the effort. At first, breaking decades of conditioning feels wrong. It feels unnatural to choose truth over comfort. Yet enduring that initial discomfort is the absolute prerequisite for building a life that has genuine meaning. True living begins when you stop waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for approval, waiting to finally feel ready. As philosopher Alan Watts observed, the meaning of life is simply the act of being fully engaged in the present moment. Life is not happening in the future you imagine. It is happening right now. Stepping into the present is an active process. It requires taking immediate responsibility for your choices right now. You do not drift, you decide. Every single day is a choice. You either move closer to a genuine existence, or you drift further into an illusion. Do not reach the end of your time only to look back and realize you never actually lived your own life.